Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with Alberto Aliberti, who is president and CEO of Atlas Ocean Voyages. Now, we've interviewed Alberto before, and his cruise line, fortunately at this point, hasn't started yet, but we wanted to talk to him about what it's like launching a cruise line during this crisis, as well as what's coming up for his line in 2021. And you'll find out about all that and more on Insider Travel Report. Now, Alberto, we talked a few months ago and got an update about what's going on with your line. Let's just review for our viewers out there, what is Atlas Voyages and what will it offer guests and travel advisors who book it?
James, Atlas Ocean Voyages is a new concept in luxury cruising. We are an expedition-capable ship and company which will be sailing exotic itineraries throughout the world. Mm-hmm. What we do is we combine top luxury with an all-inclusive product on board in an elegant setting with adventurous and exciting port destinations and activities ashore. The angle is that a person who travels on Atlas Ocean Voyages is a seasoned luxury traveler who wants to have a little bit more challenging fun and excitement, or wants to accompany someone along in that environment.
In fact, you call it I think you've trademarked the name Adventure Lux. Right?
Correct. We are Luxe-Adventure.
I'm sorry, Luxe-Adventure. I gotta say it the right way.
Well, that's okay. We've trademarked it both ways. So, but we are Luxe-Adventure. And what we mean by that is we've carved out a section of the industry which is in the luxury category above what we would consider some of our premium cruise line competitors. However, we're adding that angle of adventure and exotic engagement. And that's the difference, is that we are allowing a top luxury client to experience a little bit more of a challenging, rugged experience if they wish.
Now, let's talk a little about when are you officially scheduled to launch your service?
We will be launching the World Navigator, our first ship, in July of 21. And it's in this environment actually a blessing that we are not sailing until 2021, because we will be sailing a brand new ship which has not been used by people in this current environment, and that's a helpful thing. And we're able to plan and make any adjustments in our construction now that we need to be sure we are even more ready to combat anything like the current situation.
Well, nevertheless, I mean, what is it like to do all this in this environment? You're trying to launch a whole new brand, a whole new company. Obviously, there are still challenges, right?
There are absolutely challenges, James. And the primary concern or challenge right now is that our sales force is not able to get up close and personal with the travel advisors. We are now having to rely on telephone and electronic media to engage with our travel advisors and the entire agency community. And the challenge for that is you lose that interpersonal contact that you would have at a trade show or any other trade event, as well as an agency visit. However, we are being able to get around that by using various engagement methods. We've gone strong into social, strong into electronic, to make sure that the advisors know what we have to bring to them.
Now, in that vein, what should travel advisors know about Atlas Ocean Voyages? In particular, you just launched a few weeks ago a brand new offer to get people booking now for 2021, and there's some great incentives for travel advisors, right?
We did, James, and what we did is we launched what we call Get Paid Now. Get Paid Now is, we are confident, the strongest, most travel industry favorable offer out there. And what it is for any booking that has a deposit, we are paying travel advisors an immediate $500 to $750 gift card based upon category of service, and we will go ahead and put that in addition to their commission, which they will earn when final payment is in.
No, that's a great news, and of course, travel advisors right now are looking for sales and looking for cash, and a lot of them have sort of gone through the whole thing of rebooking and canceling and getting refunds for their customers at this point, and now they're looking ahead to see what, if anything, they can sell for 2020, and of course, what they can sell for 2021. Let's shift gears a little bit. I understand, obviously you're selling a cruise, you're representing a cruise line now that is going to really focus on Antarctica among other destinations. And I understand you visited there a few years ago. Talk a little bit about your experience, because, we all say, let's go to Antarctica, and, very few people talk about exactly what you get there and what the experience is.
Well, it's a great question, and I think I'm the best person to answer that, because I have to be frank. When I went to Antarctica, I didn't want to go. I am a person who
kicking and screaming all the way, right?
I have to be frank. I am a person who enjoys winter from their television. I'm a sun destination person. I went to Antarctica because I had to know what it was like, because we are going to go ahead and deliver this to the travel community. I went, and from the moment my Zodiac touched the shore, I fell in love. It is going to Oz. It is a wonderland. When you go there, you are so absolutely out of your element and of any reference that you've ever traveled into. The wildlife is beyond impressive. You are so engaged. I have this backdrop here of us in a Zodiac next to a whale. That whale followed us. We kept our distance from the whale, and every time we pulled away, that whale would follow us because it was enjoying playing with us like a big puppy. It is an engaging experience, yet it is also a very rugged and intense experience, because you really get your teeth into an exotic and an isolated destination, which few people in the world have ever able to go to. And that's why Atlas Ocean Voyages is taking our Antarctic season starting in winter 21-22. And that season, by the way, is going to be open for booking next week.
Wow.
It's already advertised, and it will be open for booking on May 4th.
That's amazing. Yeah. And here I was, I thought you brought the whale home with you, and it was just in the backyard. Well, whatever. Now let's talk a little bit about your first ship, World Navigator. And I know you have, I think, 4 more coming on that are going to be similar, but what are the features of this new ship in terms of accommodations, dining, amenities that travel advisors can relate to their customers?
In keeping with our theme of engagement and community, our onboard product is also very engaging. We have 4 different dining venues, from a full-scale dining restaurant to small intimate cafes, with the intention being to bring people together. Our central cafe is kind of the meeting place inside the heart of the ship. However, we also have outside dining in an alfresco or cafe style. And then we also have meeting areas. We have a wonderful top deck bar, which has a 30-foot domed glass ceiling, where evening times people will be able to experience the exterior and interior of the ship at the same time. Glass views all around. The appointments will be what you will normally expect from a top luxury cruise line. So that is going to create the environment, the comfortable environment where people will be able to enjoy this atmosphere. And then on top of that, what we're doing is we're going to make sure we take an extra step with the training of our staff to ensure that they're engaging and curious about the guest's experience, to try to help the guest along, because we will be traveling to areas which are off the beaten path. Mm-hmm. And we want to make sure that the guests are ready for that, and that we're able to help them through it, as well as let them reflect upon their experiences.
Now, what about the accommodations? I assume you have a range of cabins and suites and things like that. I mean, that they can expect a luxurious setting, right?
Correct. And our cabins range from, all of our cabins are exterior, of course, and the large propensity is that they are with balconies. We have a cabin category with a panoramic window called our adventure category, but we go all the way up to our 8 suites, which range up to about 450 square feet. And we do have a couple triples out there, because going to the Antarctica, there will be families traveling together. And we also have in our cabins what we're calling a horizon category. Now, what a horizon category is it's a balcony, but some people call it a Juliet-style balcony or a French veranda.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is the entire wall is glass, and a person is able to lower the glass top portion and experience the outside in a balcony environment, yet in the cabin, they gain the extra square footage of what would have been a balcony. So they have a larger inside cabin, and they also have this balcony experience, which, interestingly enough, even in the Antarctica, people enjoy to sit out and enjoy the balcony of their suite.
Well, it's not really cold, right? It's kind of, with the sun and everything else, it can be a little warm, right?
It is warm, but I do want to caution travelers that even though they will say, oh, it's 30 or 40, and sometimes they'll tell you it's 50 degrees, I have to caution people to remember that, yes, it is in the sunlight 35, 45 degrees, but remember, Antarctica is a large ice cube, and the wind never stops. So there will be chilling winds, and as soon as you go in the shade, you do feel that cold.
And you also should bring some suntan lotion, because the sun can be pretty strong, right?
Exactly. For those portions of skin which are showing, you definitely want to bring some suntan lotion. You want to remember to pack your sunglasses, interestingly enough. You need a good pair of sunglasses because of the reflection off the white, and you will get burnt right here across your face.
Now, you will provide parkas and things like that on these expeditions, right?
We do. We have a very sturdy mud-capable boot, which we will, of course, wash on exit of the ship and on return to the ship. And the reason for that is we don't want any cross-contamination of any things that might be on the carpet to go out into the environment. And likewise, we don't want to bring any of the different animal-related things from the outside into the ship. And then you'll have a full parka unique to our brand. We'll have binoculars will be provided. And so the people will be able to come down with less luggage, yet still be able to enjoy the experience.
And you mentioned something earlier with families. And so this can be couples or families. You're basically taking all comers, right?
Absolutely. And that's something that's important. We are a family-owned business at the end of the day. The owner has a family with small children. I do. And so what we're doing is we're creating an atmosphere that is safe and fun for multi-generational travel. I don't want to misrepresent and say that we'll have family programs, because we will not. But what we will be providing is an atmosphere with triples and such that a family who wants to enjoy this sort of thing with their children or grandchildren is able to do it.
No, that's fantastic. Now, let's talk a little bit about the itineraries that you're going to offer. I know you've got an announcement coming up next week, so we can allude to what's going to happen there. But where are you going to go with World Navigator initially?
When World Navigator launches in July 2021, we are going to head out and go to the exotic Far East Mediterranean. We're going to a place that's not frequently visited. We're heading up into the Black Sea. We're doing an entire Black Sea circumnavigation. We're going to come down and we're going to spend a lot of time down in the Holy Land, down into Egypt. There's been a long time where people have not felt comfortable visiting over there. We're going to take them safely to the highlight destinations within Israel, Egypt, and then we're going to come up, we're going to enjoy some of the Eastern Greek islands before coming back across on a crossing that is now going into the Caribbean. We did make a bit of adjustment there. We've decided that we are going to come in and do a very short Caribbean season so that people who want to come in and get a sample of our product can do so in a little bit easier fashion. And also by doing that, what it allows us to do is to hit a lot more of the exotic Northern South American ports, get people into the jungles, into the French Guiana area, to come down and enter the Amazon. So for that reason, we're coming across to a lot more exotic Caribbean, Northern South American area, from which we will then go down the coast. We'll enjoy Rio overnight, and we'll also bring people then down along the Argentine coast before getting to Ushuaia for the Antarctica season.
When would you first hit Antarctica for the first time with World Navigator?
We're going to get to Antarctica, depart Ushuaia in middle November. We've decided to get there about 2 weeks after the rush, and that's because those first 2 weeks have a lot to see. But starting in middle November, it gets to be a little bit more of a nicer environment. And also you're able to see the chicks are being born. The penguin chicks will be being born. And also we mentioned weather. You are fully into springtime in the Antarctic at that point, into the summer.
So November 2021 is we will be landing in Antarctica with World Navigator. Sounds like you're going on quite a trek to get there to begin with, because you're actually launching the ship when for first.
It's going to be in July of 21.
July of 21.
And we are going to spend time in the Black Sea where we have some fantastic itineraries. We will be visiting in Kiev. We will be sending tours out to Moscow. We will be going to very small ports in Georgia before heading down to Israel, where we'll spend a lot of overnights because we have adventures in the desert. We have adventures in Jerusalem. We have adventures in Masada, and then go down to Egypt, where we will also be overnight so that people can get out to see the pyramids, but also we have fun things like surfing in the desert on the typical wakeboard type surfing. And that's before coming over to the Greek islands and enjoying some of the countryside and heading westbound.
Now, what are the length of itineraries? I assume you have a mix of 7, 14, and I guess the Antarctica is even a bit longer, right?
Correct. During the Northern Hemisphere summer, we do have some 7-day itineraries. Our average itinerary is closer to 9 days, going up to 14. And we did this because we are going to use a lot of overnight stays so that people can better enjoy the environment of wherever we are. And we also did this so we can go to more and distant exotic ports. When we get to Antarctica, we have a 9-night Antarctic Discovery Cruise, which is the one for the person who's going to Antarctica the first time. It gets them down to definitely experience 4 full days on the Antarctic Peninsula. And then for those who are a bit more adventurous, we have a 12-night, which takes you down below the Arctic Circle. And finally, I'm happy to announce we have a special 12-night Eclipse cruise, because on the 4th of December, there will be a total solar eclipse in the Southern Hemisphere. The unique thing about this eclipse is that the moon passes the sun from east to west. And it's the only time once every 400 years that this happens. And we have scheduled our itinerary to be right in the middle of what NASA is reporting as the best observation area on the world.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing cruise. And I guess, I'll just skip it. I'll get the next time, right?
Yeah, yeah. Come back in 400 years.
No, that's amazing. That sounds like a really super way to see Antarctica and see this eclipse. And also, just to go back to the ships, this is the first ship, World Navigator. How many passengers is that?
There are 196 passengers, 98 cabins. And what we will do during the Antarctic season is we will reduce that passenger carry down to 186 so that we can bring aboard special expedition team leaders and various different speakers who will be able to talk on the ecology and the area of the world we will be in. So it will be a small group, and we will have on board 18 Zodiac boats, which will carry 10 guests each, so that everyone can have an intimate experience when they're visiting either the shore or in the Zodiacs afloat, so that they can see things like the whales and the seals and such in their natural environment.
And then going forward into the next 5 years, you have plans for 4 more ships, right? What's the schedule of delivery on those ships? And they're pretty much going to be somewhat similar to World Navigator, right?
Correct. They're going to be generally similar in size. There may be some interior structural differences that we will do over time, but they will be similar to the World Navigator. We will start, of course, expanding in our different destinations. We have the Traveler and Seeker coming out in 2022. And then we will, in 2023, have 2 more, the Adventurer and the Discoverer. And these ships, of course, with the growing fleet, will be going to different destinations. We are going to be in the Arctic in summer of 2022. We will have 2 ships in Antarctica in the winter of 22-23. And then we're going to send a ship out to Asia so that we can go ahead to explore the Eastern Asian ports, which, again, we'll be able to find a lot of exotic itineraries.
No, that all sounds fantastic, and good luck on all those itineraries. And they sound fascinating. And I guess the sort of other question I think a lot of travel advisors and their clients may think is a little bit crazy to book a brand right now, a new line that's not going to debut until 2021, and they might be worried about who's backing it and whether you go out of business even before it starts. But what can you tell them about your financial backing, your ownership, as well as your management team to reassure them that you are in this for the long haul despite all this crisis?
It's a very important topic, and it's one that we want to get out to the travel community. And that is, Atlas Ocean Voyages as a brand is a year old. However, our company is over 30 years old, Mystic Invest, and it is a large holding company of all travel-related services, including riverboats and cruise ships. Our DNA is in cruising. The owner of the company started out on cruise lines. I started out on cruise lines.
That's Mario.
Mario Fajeda, who was the owner, an entrepreneur who started all of this right about 30 years ago. And he started on board at Cunard. I started on board also. And so we have a family feeling for cruising. The entire executive staff at Atlas are cruise industry executives. Likewise, our shipboard management and staff are all cruise industry executives. Now, you ask an important question about financial backing. Our company has had 30 years of profitable operation, and we are able to back not just this, but we have within our holding close to 14 different brands that have been successfully operating over all these decades. In addition to that, we have additional outside investors, strong funds who are also not going to back a company that's going to go out of business in the next 6 months. So we are very, very comfortably in as far as the cash position, and that's because we don't overextend. We have always operated not with taking a lot of loans and advance money, but by making money and satisfying whatever needs we have locally. We have a very, very strong credit rating in our European banks, and we don't fear any sort of issues with that.
Well, I've met Mario in the past, and I always thought of him as Lord of the Douro because he basically operates and builds most of the river cruise ships on the Douro, as well as has his own brand in other European rivers. So I've known him for that part, and clearly he has a great operation and very strong, as you said. And then obviously with the additional outside financial backing, it sounds like, for any travel advisor who's worried about this or a customer, they really shouldn't be, because you have some very firm plans in place and you're doing this very deliberately. Yes, we have this coronavirus crisis here. Fortunately, it isn't the year you're launching. And I assume you're going to be addressing some of the issues that the coronavirus crisis has raised with cruising, because everybody's wondering, a lot of people don't want to get on a cruise ship right now. I think that's an error and through a lot of misinformation, but I gather you're addressing some of those situations as well.
We are, and in our construction, which was already planned, it was going to be an onboard safe environment with multiple washing stations, and we will have, of course, no single-use plastic, but we would have clean water stations with which people could use for their refillable bottles. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to use constant cleaning on and getting off the ship. Likewise, hand sanitation stations all around the ship. And one of the good things, too, is we are a small passenger carry in a relatively large space ratio. So there will be comfortable space for all passengers. And these days, unfortunately, as you mentioned, the industry is getting a bit of a bad rap. For people who want to feel comfortable, who want to be with a lot less guests, this is a great environment where they could go and just be with 150, 180 other guests and see these things in a very nice and comfortable and definitely safe environment.
Great stuff, Alberto. Is there anything else you want to get out to our 100,000 Travel Advisor viewers about Atlas Ocean Voyages at this time?
There is, and it's something I didn't mention earlier when we were talking about Get Paid Now. One of the things I failed to mention is right now with all bookings, we're also including air, so that if you book a stateroom, it includes economy air, and if you book a suite, it includes business class air to the nation of the departure of the cruise, of course, round trip.
That's amazing. That's a great offer, and it's definitely another thing that travel advisors have in their quiver to sell this line heading into 2021, which I think a lot of travel advisors really are focusing on 2021. They'll take what sales they can get in 2020 as we hopefully get out of this crisis, but 2021 seems to be a good time to start a cruise line after all.
It is.
We'll see what happens. But Alberto, thank you very much for taking the time. It's great to see you virtually. Normally, I guess we would have seen each other at Sea Trade, but not this year. Hopefully next year, and hopefully some other conferences in the future. And again, thank you for updating us on what's going on with Atlas Ocean Voyages.
Thank you so much, James, and you have a great day. Everyone else, good luck and be safe out there.
I'm James Schillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.